Unlock your potential today at skillbakery.com.
GPT-5 or Generative Pre-trained Transformer 5 refers to a model, or really an ecosystem of models, which has been trained on enormous amounts of data. These models vary in size and capability. They are tuned for different tasks. You can play with their configuration, you can actually use them for your applications. Some are optimized for zero-shot learning or few-shot learning, which are two kinds of ways of looking at prompt engineering. So let's go ahead and see what all this means. So over here, you can see that I have opened up platform.openai.com. You need to have an account to access this portion. As you can see, I've created mine. And here you have the models, the featured models over here, GPT-5, GPT-5 Mini, and GPT-5 Nano. These are the latest ones. And apart from that, we also have specialized models, as you can see, purpose built for specific tasks like O3 Deep Search, GPT Images 1, GPT-4o Mini TTS, GPT-4o Mini Transcribe. Similarly, we have GPT-5 Nano, fastest, most cost-efficient versions of GPT-5, GPT-5 Mini, GPT 4.1. So these are the models. Now, what we will be doing is we'll be heading over to platform.openai.com/docs/overview, and down below you'll notice that it says start building, and the first one says read and generate text. So this is what we will be exploring. Let's go ahead and click on this read and generate text, which is going to open up this text generation documentation. And here you have a code snippet of how to invoke OpenAI client, and then using the OpenAI client instance, you can provide the input, and based on that, it is going to return some output. Down below over here, you have the links like build a prompt in the playground. So clicking on this will take you to this edit prompt screen. Now what I've done over here is I have selected a model. By default, GPT-5 comes in. Here you can choose any other model. If you have a specific use case, you can specifically select that particular model. But I'm going to stay with GPT-5. Just next to it, you have a settings icon coming up. There you can choose the text format, reasoning effort, verbosity, and store logs. Once that's done, you have the option to add variables or tool. Like over here, you can add a file search, web search, code interpreter, image generation, some custom functions over here, and MCP server. Now, we are not going to touch that as of now. What we will be doing is we will be creating this developer message. So what I have written over here is provide clear, accurate, and concise answer to user questions about American history, covering events, people, important dates, and cultural developments from pre-colonial times to the present. Begin with a concise checklist, 3 to 7 bullets, outlining key points your response will address. Ensure factual accuracy and cite sources when appropriate. So this is the developer message that we have written over here. You'll also notice this optimize button. When you will click on this, it is going to take this developer message, and if you click on optimize, it is going to optimize this further. So I'm not going to do that. It's kind of already optimized version, but you have the option to optimize your prompt, and that way you will be able to ensure that users will be able to query accordingly and they will get the necessary information. So here, once you have your developer message and you don't have any specific inputs to this particular developer message, so what you can do is you can leave this prompt message blank, and then over here chat with your prompt. So here you can ask questions related to this particular developer message. So here I have come up with a question: who was the president of the United States in 1955? Let's go ahead and see what response we are getting. So here you can see it has cited it accordingly based on the kind of prompt we provided. So first thing that it is doing, it's providing 3 to 7 bullet points, like identify the US president in 1955, provide term dates for confirmation, note party affiliation and vice president, mention notable 1955 context, cite sources. Then the answer comes, right? The Eisenhower was the president of the United States in 1955. And he served from January 20, 1953 to January 20, 1961. He was a Republican, and his vice president was Richard Nixon. In September 1955, Eisenhower suffered a heart attack but remained in office. And these are the sources from where it has derive this information and present it. Now, if I go ahead and ask something which is totally unrelated with the American history, given the nature of this developer message prompt that we have, it is still able to answer it to a certain extent. For example, it is clearly able to identify that this is not a valid question. It is missing some context, like adding a number 9 to this question will make more sense, and then we will be able to compute the square root of 9, which is going to be 3. Or are we referring to something in context with the American history, like the Banana Wars or United Fruit? So what we can further do is restrict this particular prompt answering such questions. We can further go ahead and add few more questions. For example, if I go in and say, what is the capital of the US? Let's see. So here you can see that it is again following the instructions given in the developer message and coming up with the answer, which says Washington, D.C. is the capital of the United States. It's a federal district, not a state, on the Potomac River. Congress designated it as the national capital in the Residence Act of 1790, and the federal government moved there in 1800. And these are the sources from which it has concluded this answer. So you can see that how ChatGPT allows you to work with your prompt and also tells you how open-ended your prompts are. Like in our case, we just saw how open-ended it was, even though we tried making sure that it is only going to answer historical questions, but it was still open to a certain extent. And because of that, it was also able to entertain incorrect questions like, what is the square root of a banana? And good suggestions, proper suggestions, like what context is missing in that. Are you talking in historical perspective, or you are missing a number in that question? Based on that, the question will make more sense and we will be able to answer it accordingly. So if that is your intention, then we are good with our prompt. But if that's not your intention, what we can do is we can further tweak our developer message or our prompt and then give it another try to see how specific it is as far as questions are concerned with American history in this case. If you find the video helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe.